Here we go, chat. Starting off the top 16 round of this tournament, we've got Atrocious Mihawk. Atrocious Mihawk being the #1 most populous deck within this top 16, is heralded as the best new deck to come in OP14, really shaking up the meta. Made top 4 yesterday in the championships, looking to make another great appearance today. With that leader effect of resting 1 card and restanding 3 Dawn, it'll go up against a new OP14 leader in Boa Hancock, right? Boa Hancock we saw in the top 16 yesterday as well. Has the ability when you play a character on your opponent's turn, right? More than likely from a trigger. You get to draw 1 card and then Dawn times 1 once per turn. If your opponent KOs a character, right, a Kuja Pirates or Amazon Lily character of 5,000 power or more, you get to have your opponent take 1 life. So it looks like both players mulliganing. I am going to try to 1080. Listen, if you've seen my videos or you've maybe seen me at an event, I love Nengarden playmats. And especially with Black Friday, now is an insane time to get your very own playmat. Or maybe a gift for somebody else. All of the standard playmats are going to be cut at a discount. And not only that, you've got stickers, pins, apparel, that's also going to be discounted on the website. And these discounts are already so good, and you know I've got a code there for a discount of your own, but it's actually been bumped up to 10% to help you save even more on this Black Friday. Make sure to stack up the savings and get a great gift for either yourself or somebody else this holiday season. The link to Nengarden's website where you can get your next favorite TCG product is in the description below. Thank you so much to Nengarden for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to that video. So I think both players mulliganing in this hand, right, chat, that they both have. The Boa Hancock going first. Starting off in this, has a Marguerite, 2 Boa blockers from starter deck 17, I think it is. The blue Doflamingo starter deck, and 2 Rams. Gonna definitely be able on a 4 Dawn turn on turn 3 to be able to get a rested Dawn on your leader. And the Marguerite as well, right, for that 3 Dawn on the on play. You look at the top 5 of your deck, grab an Amazon Lily or Kuja Pirates type card, add it to your hand, put the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order, and trash a card from your hand, very similar to Saint Shalria. The Atrocious Mihawk running a very similar list to the Supernova package that we saw in yesterday's championship, running that Stun Bonnie, as you can see right there, maybe picking up a little bit of headway in this championship. Also, a 1-cost Perona Searcher is going to be nice at the very beginning. A Surpass Me Roar or Zoro event, and Law and Beppo, and 9-cost Atrocious Mihawk. This might be a better showing than what we saw in the top 4 of the last championships with the Atrocious Mihawk. And so Boa Hancock going first, passing off the turn, is going to go to Atrocious Mihawk's turn. Finding a second secret rare Atrocious Mihawk. Now I'm going to use that Perona to look at the top 5. For a slash type character. Does find a 2K Zoro, right? Could also find this Spiderweb event, right? Perona finding a slash type character or an event. Spiderweb might be nice for a blocker or character to restand as active, but goes for the little bit of counter in Zoro, not having a ton of counter in the hand right now. So Boa Hancock now swinging 5,000 power at lead. Gonna have to net a 1K, but taking a life instead. Maybe want to utilize that Stun Bonnie. Finding a Coffin Boat. The Marguerite is going to go ahead and look at that top 5 for a Kuja Pirates or Amazon Lily. We see the 3-cost starter deck 02. I think it was the original starter decks that got introduced in the game, but could also find a Marguerite in this search. So opts for the Marguerite, does have to pitch 1 card in hand after this. Might go ahead, pitch the Marguerite in the hand. We see a red rock that was on the top of the deck, and the Marguerite goes away, passing off the turn. Atrocious Mihawk going now to 4. We see a Spiderweb on the top, so running multiple copies of Spiderweb in this deck. We might see something like playing the Coffin Boat down onto the field and maybe swinging a 5/5, but depending on this draw, ooh, a nice 7-cost Shanks. The later turns gonna go really well now for the Atrocious Mihawk now that we have a 6 Dawn play, an 8 Dawn play, and a 10 Dawn play in the multiple turns. So with the 3 Dawn, is deciding between 5/5 and 8, but no, is just going to pass off the turn. does not want to swing with this Perona or with leader at Boa Hancock. Maybe afraid of a trigger body. There's a ton of trigger bodies in this deck, right? The Gorgon Sisters, as we saw in yesterday's top 16, being able to play the card right away. Now at 5 Dawn, is either going to decide to play the Boa Hancock or Ran, I believe, on this turn. I love this guy's drip as well, the Dracula Mihawks. A 5,000 power swing now at lead is going to net a card out of hand. Is thinking about pitching the 2K Zoro. This Dracula Mihawk leaving up some Dawn, maybe for the counter events, right? Didn't want to add any Dawn and swing for potential more attacks coming at him, especially when he doesn't have a ton of counter in hand. And so now the Boa playing down the 4-cost Boa Hancock blocker is going to rearrange that top 3. Does see a Hina in there. That Hina is going to be very, very nice to be able to gain that unblockable in the end stages of the game. We've seen this Hina played in both Boa Hancock and Jinbei lists at the first week of the OP14 format. Just a nice card in general. I would recommend, if you plan on playing Boa or Jinbei, to get your copies of that common. Not going to be too expensive, but it would save you a couple cents. Now attaching that Rested Dawn and the last active is going to put Dracula Mihawk down to 3. Finds a Dead Man's Game. So an event that only has counter on the event side, right on the counter event side. Top decking a Tashigi for turn. We may see a Tashigi come down on the field right now. Tashigi on the field would be nice to be able to have this big body that you can have constantly swinging in. Also having a protection effect means that it won't be removed from the field. And so is going to go ahead with the Stun Bonnie, though. Freeze the Marguerite. So minimizing the amount of tax on the turn. Is going to go ahead now and use leader effect to rest the Coffin Boat. Now restanding 3 Dawn. And with Dracula Mihawk's effect, remember, you cannot play characters for the rest of the turn. So with this 4 Dawn, he's either going to have to redistribute it, but decides to pass yet again. Continuously being passive in this game, being very patient. We'll see how it works out for him with a Boa swing in his face from both a leader and character potentially in this turn. Is now at 7 Dawn now, so could play something like Kuma to heal a life, but if your opponent's not really swinging at you, maybe it's more beneficial to play something like the other 4-cost Boa blocker in hand, or Ram. So starts out with the 6,000 power swing. Dracula Mihawk looking very defensive with Dead Man's Game, Surpass Me Zoro, and Spiderweb. Is going to go ahead with the Dead Man's Game. Now going in with the 6,000 power swing, yet again is going to need to gauge another card out of the hand or a life, especially with the lack of 2Ks in hand on a lot of these bricks. In the Shanks, in the Mihawk, in the Lawn Beppo. Really hate giving up these counter events this early in the game. So is thinking about using the Surpass Me Roranora Zoro. Resting an additional Dawn is going to net you plus 4,000 power on the counter. You don't get anything if you don't rest any additional Dawn. So it's kind of like a pseudo 2-cost event. And so is actually going to go with the Kuma. We'll see if the on play he decides to heal one. Is thinking about what card he wants to pitch. It looks like going to be the Ram. You want to save the Red Rock for something like the 7-cost Shanks or one of the boss monsters that Dracula Mihawk is going to play. So ends up using the Ram, going up to 5 life. More than the leader effect. And especially because we stack the top of the deck, we should know exactly what the card is that we are putting in the top of the life. I think being the Gorgon Sisters. So the Mihawk getting a Perona off the top of the deck. The Perona is going to be nice to be able to stun some of these bodies, make sure they're not going to be able to swing, but especially on an 8 Dawn turn, you're very tempted to play Shanks. Shanks being a great body, and one of the reasons that Dracula Mihawk is such a powerful deck within this format, that Shanks being able, when it is rested, to rest a 7,000 power character or less, which would be anything on both sides of the field right now, and then when the character is rested on opponent's turn, you minus 1,000 power the entirety of your opponent's characters. And so is going to go ahead, play these Shanks, use the leader effect to rest the Shanks. Restanding 3 Dawn now 4 as active. Can't play any other characters, but may start distributing this Dawn to swing at the different characters. Remember, the minus power on the Shanks does not happen until your opponent's turn. And so swinging 7,000 power, actually swinging it at lead, and it is going to be that Gorgon Sisters that we saw. Because of your leader effect, playing a character on your opponent's turn, you are going to draw 1 card. And now there's an additional body on the field for the Mihawk. Very much look like Boa's in the driver's seat right now of this game. But Dracula Mihawk going to be giving a 7,000 power swing at lead, leaving 1 Dawn active. Boa taking this life, not a trigger, thankfully for the Mihawk, grabbing a 1-cost Sengoku, ends the turn, restanding 1 Dawn because of the coffin boat end of turn. And now Boa, 4 bodies to swing with right now. The Boa Hancock player setting up that Gorgon Sisters trigger very, very well, stacking the deck with the 4-cost Boa Hancock blocker, reorganizing the top 3, knew exactly what card he was healing off that Kuma. So you got a couple different options here at this point. You've got an opportunity potentially if you wanted to use the Red Rock right now to bottom deck this 7-cost Shanks, or that would take away the minus 1,000 power effect that your characters currently have right now. Make it a little bit harder to get out of these swings if you go in at face. Currently on the 9 Dawn turn, I believe. Does not have a 9-cost Boa in hand. And I think, honestly, maybe Red Rock on the Shanks is your best option. And so it all depends on, in this matchup, which is more harmful to your game plan. Is it the Dracula Mihawk? The Dracula Mihawk on that your turn does cause a 9-coster less to not be rested, effectively stunning one of your characters, or the Shanks minus 1,000 power. So is going to go with a Sengoku, maybe trying to find a 7 Warlords of the Sea kind of card that they can play. Does find a 9-drop Boa, so might go ahead and grab that. Could also grab another 6-drop Kuma. The 6-drop secret rare Kuma from OP12 does have the 7 Warlords of the Sea tag. So is eyeing up and going with the Boa Hancock. Not a bad card at all. So now I think going in with the Red Rock is going to go ahead, bottom deck that Shanks. Now that we have the 9-drop to play within the next turn, now we have so much rested Dawn. If we go ahead and reveal 3 Amazon Lilies or Kuja Pirates type cards in the hand, we'll be able to use the Gorgon Sisters activate main to give a rested Dawn on all of these characters, right? So not only did you get rid of the minus 1,000 power from the Shanks, but you also gave essentially a plus 1,000 power to your entire board because of the Gorgon Sisters. One of the reasons why the Gorgon Sisters, one of the most important triggers within this deck. If this card can get on the field, especially cheating it from life, right, as a character that originally cost 6, it gives you so much extra value in power. So now going in with a 6,000 power swing, right, especially because it's been kind of awkward for this Dracula Mihawk on these different swings. Try to go in with some of these like lower numbers, try to get a card out of their hand. And Dracula Mihawk not really finding a lot of 2Ks, does have 2 Dawn for the Spider Web. If they want to use that, Spiderweb going to be able to bring back up Bonnie as active. But if he starts swinging 7s, it's going to be difficult. This game looking very advantageous to Boa right now, I will say. So thinking about what to swing with and in what order, still at 3 life, is going to go a 6,000 power swing now, and it looks like at leader. So no blockers on the field for Dracula Mihawk. Plenty swings coming in. What is the best play right here for Dracula Mihawk? When do you use Spiderweb? Use Spiderweb like on the last one? Boa doesn't need to go for board. He has been giving counter events instead of counter cards, right? Like 2Ks and stuff like that. And he just gave 2 1Ks off of a 6,000 power swing. If I was the Boa Hancock, face is the place right now. We are swinging face. 6,000 power now, I think, going at face once again. There is a spider web in hand that is going to be able to get out of an attack. But other than that, Not much to do. And so is going to end up taking that life, going down to 1. Still 2 potential swings at least with the Boa Hancock and the Kuma. Now is going to swing 8,000 power at lead with 2 Dawn attached to the Boa. Is going to go ahead rest 2 with the Spider Web, right? Plus 4,000 power, restanding the Bonnie. The restanding of Bonnie not necessarily mattering. Maybe trying to get in a situation where maybe he does clear the Bonnie in the next turn, but you could even see Boa Hancock not swing right here, right? Because the 9-cost Boa is able to burn a life. But with this 9,000 power swing, I think it is going to take the life, pass off the turn. I think this Dracula Mihawk is in huge trouble. You're only able to play the Dracula Mihawk and stun one of these characters. You have no life whatsoever. And so maybe Dracula Mihawk, his best opportunity going in with Law and Beppo potentially. Law and Beppo would be able to make you a 7,000 power leader and make it a little bit harder for Boa to be able to go for game. Is going to go ahead with the Law and Beppo, stun the Kuma. It will not restand heading into his next turn. Still has the ability to use leader effect on the Coffin Boat to restand 3 Dawn. Uses leader effect to restand the 3 Dawn. Probably wants to leave 1 as active, right? Perfect for that Coffin Boat end of turn, restanding 1 Dawn. Right, as you have a Dead Man's Game in hand. Is thinking just about a 7,000 power swing. If I was the Dracula Mihawk, I'd be going at board right now. Is going to go for the Gorgon Sisters. And so does need to give a little bit more cards than that. So goes 2K, 1K on that, right, to get to 8 off the 7,000 power swing. You got to remember that Law and Beppo does make your leader plus 2,000 power. And so is going to go with another 7,000 power swing. Going at the Gorgon Sisters. Gorgon Sisters so important in this deck and is going to get knocked out. And so now restanding 1 Dawn at the end of turn through the Coffin Boat. There's no life to be taken from the Gorgon Sisters KO because, well, Dracula Mihawk has no life yet. And so is going to have at least 3 swings to work with. Dracula Mihawk, a 7,000 power leader. It's going to be all about if he can read that he's got no counter in hand, right? Especially because he gave up 2 1Ks earlier in the game. Might be a situation where maybe you attach 2 on the, or 1 to the Boa blocker to try to get a card out of hand and jam the rest with leader or something. Chat, what's the best numbers right here? Pretend that we don't know the Mihawk's hand. What's the best numbers right now? And so is going to start off with that 1 that I mentioned earlier. Is going to swing 7,000 power now with this Boa. This blocker Boa. You're not afraid of dying anytime soon. Is going to do a 1K counter. And I think is just going to attach the rest and swing. Might even try to split the Dawn at this point. But is thinking about maybe going passive and playing another 4-cost Boa. And is going to go. Maybe is not going to go for game at this point. He's going to reorder that top 3. We see a Kiku Nojo in there. Not going to be a card that really helps you at this point. Slave Arrow, Shaku, Yaku. 3 cards not really going to help. Is going to get that 1 attached to Boa. If he just attaches the rest of Boa and swings, he does have a pretty good shot. I think he would just outright win the game. But swings 7,000 power, is going to have to force 1 more card in the hand. Is going to be Perona to get out of the swing. And if he reads it correctly and swings 9,000 power with Marguerite, he would be the winner because Dead Man's Game only gives 3. But he swings 8,000 power. Oh, wait, no. Dead Man's Game would put him to 10. Never mind. He could not win the game right there, but he leaves 1 as active for the You'll Frighten Me. The You'll Frighten Me event, chat, that 1 Dawn that they're leaving open, That event, if you have 2 or less life cards, up to one of your opponent's active characters cannot attack during the turn. So not working as of right now because you are at 3 life. We'll see what he tries to do here. I mean, I think you got to play the 9-cost Mihawk, right? You have to try to go for board, and you have to try to hit with the Mihawk. He's definitely being on the cautious route. That's for sure. This Boa. I don't think he's afraid of dying anytime soon. So I think he's playing the patient game. He's trying to bleed out the hand as much as possible to be able maybe next turn to go in with the big deadly swings. And so is going to go with leader. This is an 11,000 power swing at leader. And if this is going at leader, this is a free take from this Boa, now activating the You'll Frighten Me event. And there's a potential trigger. It is Perfume Femur being able to draw 1 card. Right, the Shaku Yaku, the card that we knew was in there. And so now the 9-cost Mihawk going to be rested off of the Dracula Mihawk leader effect, freezing the Kumo once again. And now restanding 3 Dawn is going to have 4 left as active, especially with that draw 1 as well from the Perfume Femur grabbing a 2K. Now it's going to be easy to either save yourself or some of these characters. So I think this 7,000 power going at the Marguerite, he said. Oh no, going at the Boa Hancock, potentially, is going to go at life. Just take as much life as possible. Maybe try to get another play trigger in the life. Especially because he's not swinging at board. Just go for an all-in next turn. Think you got a pretty good shot. And so now is swinging 7,000 power at Marguerite, an immediate block and 2K to get out of that swing. Now the end of turn, Coffin Boat, restanding 1 done. Now into the Boa's turn. Boa is going to restand all. Actually, no, the Kuma can't be rested, so he cannot attack, but he does restand as active. Now at a full 10 Dawn, we'll start seeing these pokes. 7,000 power poke. Does have that 1-cost counter event, but only 3 cards in hand. 7,000 power at lead. The Surpass Me Roronoa Zoro is going to rest the Coffin Boat as the additional card for plus 4,000. Another 7,000 power here at lead is going to claim the win. And Boa moves into the top 8. So definitely a good showcase to Boa Hancock, right? Especially going against Dracula Mihawk. A very interesting game, right? Some good setup, especially with that Gorgon Sisters play that we saw. Yeah, he could have just swung 15 with leader and he would have gotten it. Although I don't know if that's the best idea. He could have done it. I think Dracula Mihawk kind of knew in that last turn that he was cooked, and Japanese players don't scoop when they think they're going to lose. So I think he was just kind of going through the motions for the stream. Have a Boa controlling that game from start to finish. And chat, if I find any deck lists from this championship, like this Boa Hancock, like that Dracula Mihawk, I will post them in our Discord server. And if you want to join the Discord on Twitch, do !Discord, and on YouTube, if you're watching either on the live stream or the YouTube watch back, just join with the link in the description, right? It's free to join our Discord server. We have a good time in there. It's very casual, nothing crazy.